So welcome everyone. My name is Denise. I am with the JET Alumni Association, and we are going to be talking today about the JET program and also the Alumni Association, what we do for the local community and the global community.
And my name is Janice, and I am also part of the PNW JET Association, and I will be helping Denise today.
Thank you.
So what is a JET program and what does it stand for? A JET stands for the Japan and Teaching Program. It is one of the world's largest English teaching programs. About 70 countries have participants apply every year. And just here in the US, we select about 1,000 participants a year. And one of the main goals of this program is to promote grassroots level cultural exchange.
Yes. So you could see in the previous slide, I've put in a couple of my own pictures into this presentation that JET sends out every year so we can talk to our local communities. Talking about cultural exchange, that top photo is of me teaching one of my third-year classes about Halloween. And one of the traditions we have, of course, is bobbing for apples. And they had never heard of this strange activity. And we had a great time teaching them about that. There's me again. Sorry, I'm such a photo hog. Doing origami. Origami is one of my favorite hobbies. So I was really happy to be able to share something in Japan about that.
Yeah, Denise is a master origami folder.
I've had about 30 years experience, so I'm not too bad. Introductions, just so you know who you're talking to or who you're listening to at the moment. Again, my name is Denise. I was in Hyogo-ken from 2012 to 2017. I was a ALT, and we'll get into that in a moment. And I am currently the newsletter coordinator. So if you get a mailing list message from JET AA, PNW JET AA, that is most likely from me. Janice?
Yeah, and I was in Niigata-ken from 2013 to 2017. Niigata-ken is on the west coast of Japan, and it has another name. It's called Yukiguni, which means snow country. So we have a lot of snow there, and I'd love to talk about it later today. I am currently the media coordinator of the Pacific Northwest JET Alumni Association.
Yes.
Yep.
Niigata was lovely. Hyogo was really great. I lived in the northern area called Tajima, which if anyone knows about Tajima Gyu or Tajima beef, it's the original start of Kobe beef, and it is delicious if you're not a vegetarian. So about the two of us, there's some things that we share in common. We were both ALTs, which is a type of JET. We'll get to that in a moment again. We were both rural. A lot of JETs are assigned to rural schools out more in the countryside than in the city. My area was very small. They took out the trains, the local trains, about 30 years before I went. So the bus system ran until 7 o'clock. And after that, if you didn't have a car, you were stuck. The banks closed at 3 and the gas station, the lone gas station, closed at 8 p.m. There was no self-serve gas. If you wanted to leave early in the morning and you were out of gas, you were out of luck. That's how rural it was. Both of us joined JET out of college, and I put that in quotes because I was in my 30s, and Janice, you left right away, right?
Yeah, I was in my 20s.
Yep, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Both of us have previous study abroad experience. So if any of you have questions about that, we can also give a little bit of time in the Q&A about study abroad experience. We both really enjoyed it, so we joined JET. And we are both currently working for international companies. JET is a great way to go from a college degree that you don't know what to do with into an international program that you can then put on your resume and have a starting point. I work for Costco. And Janice?
And I work for a Japanese company called Toray. It's in Tacoma, and they sell carbon fiber for aerospace, for the aerospace industry.
Yeah, excellent.
All right. Denise mentioned ALT several times in the last slide. So ALT stands for Assistant Language Teacher, and most JETs that are chosen are 90% ALTs. And what does being an ALT language teacher entail? We team teach with the Japanese teacher of English at the schools. So we never really proctor classes ourselves. And we collaborate with the JTE, the Japanese teacher of English, and we come up with lesson plans that allow students to speak English more often in the class. And we also coach English speech contests and help Japanese students prepare for exchange program in the US or the UK.
Yep. You know, we do, the photo above is very typical of a Japanese classroom, where you will put a question on the board and then you'll try and speak with your students about the question. It's, yeah, very stereotypical, but you also get to join in on non-typical experiences. So the picture below was of sports day. And most Japanese preschools, elementary schools, junior high schools, and high schools have like a team building experience either in the summer or the spring, where they do a bunch of really ridiculous games or you know, like races and just team building activities, and it's just a bunch of fun to watch. They prepare for a long time to be able to do their best, and you know, there's different festivals throughout the year, and you're able to join in or at least experience them as a teacher. So it's, as long, you know, it's one part being a teacher and one part experiencing the Japanese culture. The second most popular part of the JET program is a different job, and it's Coordinator for International Relations, CIR. About 10% of JETs are CIRs, and they are translators, interpreters. They do, you know, support positions for usually city councils, city international relations. Like if you work for the city of Kyoto, you might work in tourism. You might work in business relations. They also plan events and they give presentations. It's a lot of international relations work on a more flexible scale, more professional scale usually. You do have to have a very high degree of Japanese language speaking and writing ability to be a CIR.
All right, so let's talk about salary and benefits of the JET contract. So you are locked in for 1 year, and I believe the starting salary on your first year is about 25.5K, which is enough to live in Japan, enjoy and travel around. If the Board of Education deems that you are an astounding ALT, they may keep you up to 5 years, and I believe the salary caps at about 35.7K. You are automatically enrolled in national health insurance, which in my opinion is better and more affordable than American insurance. And when you start your program, your tickets to Japan is fully paid for, and when your contract ends, your flight back, your ticket back is also fully paid for. Denise, can you tell me more about the photos on this slide?
Well, I'll talk about the top two. You can talk about the bottom one. So, you know, you were in Japan, you're contracted for a year. You might get homesick. You might feel disconnected from the community, but your Japanese staff becomes your new family. They become, you know, your coworkers and your friends. The top photo there was of my school's end of the year party, where we went to a very swanky onsen town hotel. And the third year teachers just suddenly busted out in a AKB48 song and dance, where they couldn't find good silver material for their quote unquote skirts. So they used cupboard liners, like you put liners in your cupboard to keep the dust and whatnot. And that's the photo that's above. The photo in the center is your much more typical day at the office. You know, the probably principal, vice principal, and your JTEs, your Japanese teachers of English. They're usually very supportive. They usually are very busy as well, so you don't get a lot of time to talk with them until you get to those parties. And then they're suddenly very friendly. And how about that last picture, Janice?
Yeah, so you mentioned that when you get to Japan, you're very lonely, you don't know anyone. So when I landed, I wanted to make friends immediately. And we have an association there of JET, of JET participants who organize events. And one of those events is musical. So half the year, JETs, they practice performance. They practice a musical. We write the script, we do the dances, we choreograph our own choreography.
You do your own choreography.
Yes,
to your
we do
own
our
music.
own choreography. And when the time comes, when winter time comes, that's when we perform. So it was a really good time. You know, I got to know everyone in the prefecture. We had about 90 ALTs in the prefecture, and we did our practices in our schools. Like, we would ask our schools if we can, you know, use the gym to practice on weekends. So every other weekend, starting in September to January, we would meet up at the gyms and dance and just have fun, go to the onsen. And then actually we have students go to our
of course
our performances.
I mean, you do this for several years in a row, and it becomes a known thing.
Yeah, it's part of the Grassroots exchange.
Yes.
So
what was the name of this show?
This photo here is the Frog Prince. So
it's
not
a pretty well-known story.
Yeah, not a lot of guys in our prefecture wanted to do a musical, so a lot of the females had to take on male roles.
Which is not unheard of in Japan. Kabuki is done by all male, and then I went to several Takarazuka shows, which are all female. So you are in line. Next, in order to join JET, you do have to apply, and you do have to have certain criteria checked off. For applying through the US, you have to be a US citizen. Now, as Janice said, there are multiple countries who participate in the JET program. So I have friends who are in JET who are from Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, France, England, Canada. One guy was from South Africa. But if you are applying through the US, you have to be a US citizen. You have to have your business degree for the upcoming year by August 15th of 2022. And you have to be in good mental and physical health, because you will be separated from your family. We want to make sure that you will be comfortable and still be able to, you know, self-express if you're having difficulties. It's a lot of, you know, a lot of the JETs are right out of college. They've never been international, lived internationally before. So, you know, just checking up, saying, hey, do you think you can handle this? And a lot of times, the people who are interested in JET are the ones that are going to do great on JET. You have to have excellent written and verbal English skills. you're going to be teaching English, or you're going to be translating things into English. So that makes sense. And you have to have a strong interest in Japan and Japanese culture. A lot of people start out with, you know, the typical anime or Japanese pop culture music. Some of us start out with origami like I did. Janice, how did you start out with Japanese interest?
So I was born in Guam, and there is a lot of Japanese culture in Guam. So I never thought that ramen was a Japanese thing. I thought it was just an island thing. So yeah, that's where my interest in Japan started. All right, so applications open early October and close in mid-November. If your application passes the first round, you'll be given a notice for an interview by late December or early January. And that notice and that interview will take place at your nearest consulate in late January through February. And those shortlisted will find out in April if they've been accepted. And those in the wait list can or may find out between May and or December of that year. So they fill in those positions accordingly.
Yep. And the photos at the bottom, I took, this is so nostalgic. The second one from the left is of the Eirakukan. That's the oldest wooden theater in the Kansai area. A lot of the others were either destroyed or rebuilt. This one I was very lucky to have in my town, and they did professional kabuki, they did local performances. The art on the wall is all like 1940s advertisements that are hand painted. It was really wonderful. And then the one on the far right is the fire festival, and that person in the center of the flames, that's me.
That's pretty cool.
It was awesome. So this is the end of the JET program, how to apply and what JET is. If you have any questions, there's a specific coordinator, the JET program coordinator at the Consulate General, who can answer any questions that you have. You can also visit the website that's listed there, jetprogramusa.org, for detailed information. We're going to speak a moment about the Alumni Association. So that's me and Janice, the people who have come back. Oh, this is your slide, actually.
Go for it. You can go. You already started.
I do tend to get really excited and keep going. So we promote JET so that other people who are still post-college or looking at the start of their college years know that it is an option. And you know, the Japanese government is always excited to talk to people about joining JET. We are their cheerleaders. We are also in the Japanese, we're in the know for a lot of community events, and we volunteer. If you've been to the Japan Fair in person, you've probably talked to us or walked past our booth. And we're often in the background doing support work as well. We create our own events. We usually have a picnic, and we have you know, various events that we encourage people who are interested to come to as well. And our website and Facebook page are listed on there. You can take a moment to look at them. Oh, upcoming events. Do you want to take this, Janice? Oh, well, past and upcoming events.
Yeah, sorry. Past events. So in the past, because of COVID, we had a lot of online events. We had tea testing or tasting tea. We have a JET alumni who's a master at tea.
He's certified. He went to school for that.
Yeah, it's not
and works for Starbucks.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a tea ceremony, but he has a lot of tea that he can talk about for days. We also had a Catabin contest. So
that's coming up.
Is it?
July 11th.
July.
Yeah. Okay. If anyone has cute photos of their own Keraben, which is character bento. The submissions for the contest are open until July 2nd. And then we will have a Zoom meeting to eat our bentos together. Not the ones that you took a photo of because they'd be too old by then, but new bentos, and chat and have the winners announced. That's on July 11th.
Yep, and we also participate in SakuraCon. Maybe Denise, do you know more about SakuraCon this year?
It's, well, of course, it would have been around Easter this year, but next year we're looking to go again. The consulate booth will be manned by JET alumni, and we're looking forward to it. If you have ever been to SakuraCon and put on samurai armor and had your photo taken, that's was us. JET alumni. And maybe a consulate general person or two. They're usually too busy. Okay. So now we have a Q&A session. If anyone has comments, questions, or has any topics they'd like to ask questions on, please put them in the chat. Do we have any currently?
Yeah, and at this time, if you want to, you can turn on your cameras.
Yeah.
If you'd like.
We can look at each other's faces if you care to. So I did have one that comes up all the time. Janice, do you have to have any Japanese language experience or knowledge?
You do not. I've met a lot of friends who went on the JET program with zero Japanese knowledge, Japanese language. So
I could say that is a dog. I could say I want ramen. That's about it. I lived in Japan for 5 years as a JET, and my Japanese is still horrible. I was lucky enough to be in, my kimono class and my ikebana class, and several different my Japanese choir that I was in. They all tried to speak English with me, and so my Japanese language never improved.
Yeah, I did 2 years of Japanese at UW before going to Japan, and I thought that would be enough. But you go into Japan and it's lightning speed. I'm like, okay, I need to learn more. So.
But you don't need it in order to live there.
Yeah, you can get to a certain, a comfortable level where you can get by each day, and that's all you need. I've seen friends who pick the language up in 3 to 6 months, and and there's some that are still there 5 years later.
Yeah, that person I mentioned who was from South Africa, and this goes into another question we get a lot. What kind of degree? Like you have to have a 4-year bachelor's degree in order to join the JET program. What type of degree do you need? You can have any type of degree.
Yeah, I've had a friend who had an engineer degree. I'm like, wow, an engineer degree, and you're on the JET. He just wanted to, experience Japan for that 1 year before he started, his engineering career. So.
I see a question from Susan. Thanks for that. And yay, another JET alumni. How has the JET program changed? There are a lot of small steps that have occurred. In my last year, which was 2017, they had made it mandatory for elementary school students in the 6th grade to start English, formal English lessons. I think now it's down to 4th grade. I'm not sure about that. I know that right now there is no age limit for a participant. Previously, you had to be under the age of 32, I believe. So when I was on JET, I met a woman who had done JET first in her 20s. She met her husband in Japan. They got married, moved back to Canada, where she's from. She had a little girl. Her little girl was preschool age, and they decided that they wanted her to experience life in Japan. So she moved back as a JET again in her 40s. And she lived there for a year so that her daughter could go to preschool and she could teach again as a JET ALT. That was cool.
Yeah, and I've talked to older Jets, and I told them like the best thing about going now is we have a cell phone, we have Google Maps, we have our our translator on our phone, so it's way easier to get around. It's way easier to connect with people if you don't know the language and you're in a city you don't know.
One of the reasons that I got my current job with Costco, I'm a writer for the oh, thank you. I'm a writer for the Alumni, no, Employee Magazine. And the reason I got that job was I'd done so much event notifications on Facebook that I'm like, oh, I'm used to writing small articles about, upcoming topics. And they're like, that's great experience. Other ways that it's changed, I think it's very much similar, other than the technology and the change in students. How about what is the most unique experience you had, Janice? Or the best place you went?
I've had so many. I guess my favorite thing about Japan is the onsen. I've traveled far and wide to go to as much onsens as I can.
And that's a hot spring bath.
Yeah, hot spring bath. It's amazing. It's amazing during winter as well.
Oh, especially when they have the outdoor ones as well. Like you go from the indoor bath to the outdoor bath, and it's snowing and it's lit, and oh God, it's gorgeous.
And you have the mountains right there.
What was that question that just popped up? I can't see it.
Oh, is there any Japanese proficiency requirements for CIR applicants?
You do go through an interview process, and you do have to apply with your proficiency level. I'm not sure what it has to be. I think Lynn would know. Lynn, are you still on the call?
Generally, we say if you would feel comfortable in a Japanese business environment with spoken and written Japanese, that's the level that's required for CIRs.
Excellent, thank you. Before we go, I just want to give a real big shout out and thank you to Japan Fair for allowing us to have the seminar, and especially Hiroko, Akiko, and Yuka. You guys were awesome, and thank you for allowing us to do this. I'm going to say, since I asked Janice what her most unique experience was, and again, I had so many interesting experiences while I was on JET. Probably, well, let's not go with unique. The one that I kept going back to was the Kyoto flea market. There's 2 markets that happen every month in Kyoto. And since I did kimono, I would go there and buy all of my extra kimono goods. And it was so cheap, and you got to meet so many people. There was such a variety of goods. I kick myself for not buying the hilt of a samurai sword that they had. They had just the handguard. That would have been so cool. I probably would have had to use it as a paperweight because it has no other purpose. But you just really random things. And I keep on thinking back, like, if I go to Japan, I'm going to go to the flea market again.
Well, it's about the end of the seminar. Yep. So thank you for joining the seminar. Please visit the Japan Fair website for more information about the live stream videos and the Zoom seminars. You can go to www.japanfairus.org.